सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। I made another provocative statement when I said, Swamiji, you said ignorance is a prakriya. Please explain. Prakriya means a method or a model used to explain certain principles or explain our experiences, explain our life. For example, in Vedanta, they give the example of rope snake. That because of inadequate light, it is possible that one may mistake a rope to be a snake. So that example is presented to show that it is possible to make a mistake, meaning that it is possible that we may take one thing to be different from the other. So it is a common experience that we make mistakes and sometimes recognize the person wrongly, and then there was, oh, this is what you are. No, that's not the one. Then it turns out that maybe my recognition was not right. It's not uncommon that we take a thing to be different from what it is. So then it said that we take the self also to be different from what it is. So that is the existing situation in our life. Each one of us, from the birth itself, takes ourselves to be a limited entity. The fact is, the self is limitless. Why do we say that? Because the text Upanishads, the scripture, reveals the true nature of the self as limitless. Meaning that what is limitless is perceived as limited. That's our experience. So how do you explain that? Why? How does it happen that a thing is taken to be different from what it is, opposite of what it is? So rope snake example comes. How? Just as a rope is mistaken to be a snake, so also the limitless is mistaken to be the limited. So then you explore further. How come then the question is, how is it that a rope is mistakenly taken to be a snake? So we say, ignorance is the cause. It is ignorance of the rope which makes me take the rope to be the snake. What kind of ignorance? A special kind of ignorance. All ignorance does not result into taking one thing different. Generally, ignorance means absence of knowledge. I am ignorant of Chinese language, meaning I do not know. So this ignorance is not simply absence of knowledge which we normally understand. This ignorance is wrong knowledge. Meaning that it is not the absence of self-awareness, absence of self-knowledge, that I do not know myself. I know myself, but as a limited entity. So there is a wrong knowledge, false knowledge. So this is a special kind of ignorance which results into false knowledge. Just as the rope is falsely taken to be the snake. Alright, so what kind of ignorance is this? So they say, ignorance has two aspects. This particular ignorance has two aspects. One is that it veils from me the true nature of what is, and it creates the projection of what is not. Rope snake example, the ignorance prevents me from knowing the rope as a rope, and further brings about a projection of snake which is not there. So ignorance prevents me from knowing what is and makes me see what is not. Rope snake example. Something like that is happening in our life, As it happens with the rope snake, something like that is happening in our life. That I do not know the true nature of myself, and I take myself to be quite contrary to what I am. So that example is very close to what is happening to us. And when the rope snake example is analyzed, then we see that ignorance is the cause. But a special kind of ignorance, not total absence of knowledge. Not that I do not know the rope at all. The rope is perceived, but not perceived rightly. If I did not perceive the rope at all, there will no projection of snake, meaning that there is pitch darkness, there will no projection of snake, right? Because I don't see anything. There is broad daylight, I see the rope as a rope, then also no projection of snake. But when adequate light is not there, when I see the object but do not recognize what it is. So then again we say that every object has two aspects. One is a general or universal aspect, other is a particular aspect. Rope, as a thing is, I perceive as a thing, that it is general aspect, universal. But the particular aspect, that the object is rope, the ropeness is not perceived. So that's how you take an example, analyze and arrive at an understanding of what is happening to us. So this is why I say that it's a model which explains what is happening in our life. So when that model is there, then we know that when you show a torchlight, then when the rope becomes clear, then the projection of snake goes away. So also you show the torchlight of knowledge, then ignorance goes away. In that sense, this becomes a very effective model to explain our experiences. You follow? I don't know who asked this question, but whose question is this? Right, very good. So no, I'm glad. But so do you see what I'm trying to communicate here? That so this is a very useful example to explain what kind of ignorance is involved in rope snake. Some similar kind of ignorance is involved with reference to self. That I'm aware of the self, but not the particular aspect of self, that I'm non-dual, that I'm limitless, that I am, that I'm aware of, but that I'm limitless, I'm not aware of. Therefore this projection takes place. And so it is called projection, it's called adhyasa, superimposition. The whole thing is developed then further. The whole structure of Vedantic explanation is developed on that. So this is called adhyasa, taking one thing to be different from what it is. Meaning that we superimpose the snake upon the rope. It's called adhyasa, superimposition. It's also called creation. That snake is created. And so, nature of all creation is like that only. Just as snake is mere an appearance, not a reality, so also all creation is like an appearance, not a reality. So you take that example, and different aspects of that example you use to explain, one example explains so many things about our life. In that sense, I say it is a model, it's an example. Not that ignorance is not there. It is there, but a special kind of ignorance, what it is. So that's how a whole model of Vedantic Prakriya, the methodology of Vedantic teaching is developed in order to understand what the scriptures teach. Scriptures teach that you are limitless. How to understand? When I am feeling I am limited, how do you say, how can I be limitless? If I am limitless, how can I feel limited? So that's where all these examples come, that even though it is raw, somehow I take it as saying, why? Ignorance. What kind of ignorance? This kind of ignorance. So in that sense, I said that it's a very beautiful model.
Next, quick follow-up question. So then, Maya is also a model, would you say that?
Maya also is a model, yes.
And then, take it a step further. Any cause you bring as an explanation as a model?
You take a model and expand it to explain. It's Maya. Maya can be called, the word Maya is used in the colloquial language to mean magic. A magician is called a Mayavi. And his magic, so by magic, by the Maya, how he creates the appearance of what is not. What he has in his hand is a piece of newspaper. And he says, look at the $500 bill. And the viewers see it as a $500 bill. So how magic casts a spell upon the viewers, and because of the spell, the magician makes them or enables to create an appearance of what is not there. So not only there is no $500 bill, what it is, it's a newspaper, piece of newspaper, useless. What is important is that not only it appears as a $500 bill, but the viewers take it to be real. If I knew that is merely he's just making an appearance, then it's a different thing. But the magician not only creates the appearance of a $500 bill, but is able to create in the viewers this conclusion that it is real. So that is called Maya, which not only creates an appearance of what is not, the viewers feel that it is real. So this is what magician does. So that model is taken. That Ishvara as though projects this universe. It's an appearance. But we, the viewers, under the spell of ignorance, feel that it is real. So what is unreal is taken to be real. So the different examples are taken from day-to-day life. That's why you just call it model. A rope snake example is taken. The example of magic is taken. And so on and so forth. No example is going to explain everything. So a number of examples are taken. Like one appearing as many. So sun is shining in the sky. There are a number of containers of water. The sun gets reflected in all of them. One sun appears as many suns. If you did not know that it's a reflection, you may take it to be sun. And one may conclude that there are many suns, whereas in reality there is one. So how one can appear as many? When you do not know the reality of what appears, you may think that there are as many suns. How oneself appears as many. When we do not know that manyness is not real, manyness is not unreal, we take manyness to be real and take as many selves, as many living beings. So various false notions that we carry are thus explained by a variety of examples. Each example can be called a model, a prakriya. Because it can be explained with a different example also. Just as one sun appears as many when reflected in many containers of water, so one space can appear as many. So when there are number of parts there are so many part spaces. Looks like there are as many part spaces as many parts are there. Even the space cannot be divided, but part creates an idea of division in space. The walls cannot divide the space, but the walls create the idea of inside space, outside space. So how walls create a delusion in us of inside and outside, which is not there in space. How the walls manage to create that notion in us. And so also in consciousness, there is no inside, outside, but inside, outside. There is not manyness. How the walls create as though many spaces, the bedroom space, the living room space, the dining room space, etc. So also, these walls create the appearance of many consciousnesses. Your own consciousness, another consciousness, etc. So, whatever our present understanding is sought to be explained by a variety of examples to communicate what the reality is. Each example can be called a model. And sometimes some teachers prefer this example, some other teachers prefer other example. And sometimes they even quarrel that my example is right, your example is wrong. But an example is an example, is meant to serve a certain purpose. So we use all examples. Wherever, whatever is convenient, at whatever point, use that example to convey why we think the way we think. That's the whole thing. Why do I think like this? So see, how you think that there are many spaces? Like that. There are many Atmas. How do you think there are many suns? Like that, there are many selves. So thus you give similarities from the experiences to explain what our understanding or notions are. So we see notions as notions. So we can drop them. If notion is recognized as notion, then we will drop it, not otherwise. If what is notion is, however, taken to be real, I won't drop it. But when I see that what I am entertaining is notion, I will drop it. So drop the notions. Notion is product of ignorance, dropping ignorance, shedding ignorance. Thus, this is a process of progressively becoming free from notions, false notions. As I drop off, I become more and more free, because bondage is only of the nature of false notions. As I drop off, I become free. There is no bondage in the self. Bondage is only of imagined or perceived bondage, which perceived bondage is of the nature of variety of notions. So I see them as notions. I am able to become free from that. So that's the idea of pursuit of knowledge, what we call Shravanam, listening to the teacher, unfoldment. Okay? Yeah.
I wanted to ask
Yes, sir.
a question on this question. When we have explained this and understood it, why doesn't it leave?
Why doesn't it?
Also, we still aren't.
This is called habit. A habit is what we have entertained for a long time. Even a wrong thinking also, when entertained for a long time, as though becomes right thinking, as though. So what has become so deeply embedded does not go away simply by once recognizing it is wrong. It comes up again. Then you say, this is wrong. Comes up again. wrong. Comes again, wrong. So again and again, this is called, like all yoga is like that. I bring the mind under control, runs away, bring a control, runs away. So mind goes into old rut, and again we bring it back. Old rut. That's why doing it again and again and again. For our facility, therefore, a number of texts are there, a number of Upanishads are there. The subject matter of every Upanishad is one. But every Upanishad has its own approach. So it looks like it is different and new. And so variety is there. And thus we listen to the same thing in a variety of manner. But idea is to impress one idea. Once, you are limitless, I am limitless, I am limitless, I am limitless. Not to be repeated, to be seen. So teacher makes us see, yes, right, the sense of limitation is wrong, I am limitless. Again it comes back like a cloud. Again make you see. Again comes back. Again make you see. That's the process. In yoga also, I sit in a posture, again I slink. Habit. So that's how. Hopefully a day will come when I will sit straight. Why does gross body and mind matter when pure awareness is all that a Vedantin is concerned about? When pure awareness is all that a Vedantin is concerned about, why do we bother about talking about body and mind? We're not concerned about them. We talk about body and mind only to see the fact that we should not be concerned about them. Because we are concerned about body and mind, that becomes an obstacle to our concern about consciousness. We should be concerned about the self or consciousness. But because we are too much concerned about body and mind, therefore it becomes an impediment to our concern about the consciousness. Therefore, we discover that body and mind we should not be concerned about. Why? So that's why how body is not myself, mind is not myself, etc., etc. So this way, although I should not be concerned about many things, but because habitually I am concerned about them. Should not be concerned about the objects of the world, but that's what I am concerned about all this time. As long as that concern does not leave me, I am not able to be concerned about what I should be concerned about. Meaning, I am not able to do what I should do unless I stop doing what I should not do. So that the telephone right away, what's the message there? What's the text? What's the last word? What's the missed call? What is it, voicemail? I shouldn't be concerned. I should be studying Upadesa Saaram. And that iPad is there. Okay, what's the next email, etc. I should be concerned about Upadesa Saaram. Those things I should not be concerned about. But I find myself being concerned about. Therefore, I have to make my mind say, hey mind, these things are not worth being concerned about. So I'm so concerned about the body because it's myself right now. So concerned about mind because I look upon it as myself. I would not be concerned if I did not think them to be myself. Not much concern about the table because it's not myself. Not concerned about the clock is not myself. Concerned about body because myself. Mind because myself. So I should not be concerned about them, but I am concerned about them because I take them to be wrongly as the self. So again and again I remind myself, a body I am not. The mind I am not. Give up that concern. So being concerned about is habitual. Therefore, with awareness or alertness, we have to become free from the habit of being concerned about what I should not have been concerned about. Right? People with brain damage, their mind is not functional. Would you call them yogi? No. It's not the yogi's mind is not functional. Don't say yogi's mind is not functional. Yogi has acquired the mastery of the mind so that it stops functioning about that which should not be concerned. So mind is functional, our mind is functional, but about things which we should not be concerned about. So yogi removes from his mind all that he should not be concerned about the sense objects, about the body, about this, all non-self. So what is meant by stopping or destruction of mind is making mind free from its concern about non-self, so that it is totally concerned about the self. So it's not that yogi's mind is not functioning. It is functioning where it should be functioning. It is free from what he should not be concerned about. So that it is totally focused upon the self about which he should be concerned. So it can't be compared with brain damage which is not functioning. No, yogi's mind is functioning perfectly, 100% functioning. But we call a thinking mind a functioning mind, where things are about, he's thinking about useless things. Only mind thinks about useless things. Yogi's mind has eliminated all uselessness, and therefore he thinks about what is the most useful. So he's really functioning in the true sense. If you have questions in what I am saying, you can raise your hands if you need any clarification. As a new student of Vedanta, which scriptures do you recommend to study to keep the continuity in Swadhyaya, self-study? Can you name a couple of books? There are many books. Usually we begin with the introductory book called Tattva Bodha. Introductory text called Tattva Bodha. Now fortunately our Puja Swamiji's book is also available on Tattva Bodha. So for a beginner of Vedanta, that would be a very good book to begin with, Tattva Bodha. In fact, all the books of Swamiji are Vedanta only, even if they are not texts. For example, there is a book called Talks on Emotional Maturity. It's all Vedanta. Value of Values. Every book is Vedanta. So in my opinion, it's a good idea to begin with these general books of Puja Swamiji, which will give us an overall idea of what Vedanta is. Then we can go into text, like Tattva Bodha, etc. So, there's a nice small book called The Teaching of the Bhagavad Gita. A very short, span, 170 pages. It tells you what the teaching of Bhagavad Gita is. So thus we get an overall idea, then we can go into more details. So you can start with Tattva Bodha, the teaching of Bhagavad Gita, and then proceed with other texts. The Western view of karma implies that one should do good things and one will have good things come to them. From what I learned in the first class, that is this morning, I wanted to ask, does the text, that is Vedanta view of karma, imply that good will not come back to you in this life? that doing good simply leads you to heaven or an eternal happiness after death? No, law of karma is simply the law of cause and effect. It says as you said, if you do good, good comes to you. If you do evil, evil comes to you. As you sow, so you reap. Except Vedanta says that look, there may be some karma which may not even bring about the result in this lifetime. The fruits. So when you plant a seed, when will the fruit come? That depends upon the kind of the seed. Some seeds bring about fruits in 1 year. Some of them bring about 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, depending upon the fruit. So a seed may take a variable time to fructify. So karma is like a seed and the outcome is like the fruit. So depending upon what kind of karma it is, will bring about the fruit in future 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 15 years, 100 years. Meaning that there could possibly be karmas which may yield their outcome, may take a long time, and therefore this one lifespan may not be enough to experience the result of all the karmas. Because a person keeps on doing things as long as he is alive. So karmas that you do in your later years in life may not bear fruit in this lifetime. So law of karma says that every karma will bear fruit today or tomorrow. Not necessarily next lifetime, sometime. Many karmas bring about results in this lifetime. There could be some for which you have to wait for the next life to experience the results. Some karmas may take 6 lifetimes, 7 lifetimes. There are texts called law books, Smriti. They sometimes say, if you do this, your result will be after 7 lifetimes. If you do this, after this. So they say. Meaning that there can be karma which may not fructify during this lifespan itself, and that you may need other embodiment to experience the result. That's why we are born, to experience the result of those karmas which could not be experienced during the previous embodiment. What happens is, in the process of experiencing the result of those past karma, we keep on doing new karma, thus creating new results, new karma, new results. So new body, new karma, new result, new body. That's how the chain of birth and death continues, unless we do something about it. So Lord Krishna says that the history of samsara will go on forever unless we do something about it. If you perform specific karma for heaven, there are rituals prescribed in the Veda for attaining heaven, then you attain that. There are rituals prescribed for wealth, you get wealth. Scripture. So, rituals prescribed for variety of ends. Because human beings have different kinds of desires. Variety of desires. So, variety of rituals also are prescribed. And depending on what karma you perform, you will get an appropriate result. There are some karmas which are meant to lead us to heaven. So if you perform them, go to heaven also.
So Swamiji, based on this, I was thinking that even if you perform good karmas, but you, without realizing, offend somebody else, would you incur their, so just to give back to them, would you be coming back?
So the question is, if inadvertently I hurt somebody, not deliberately, right? Inadvertently.
Yeah.
See, inadvertently you did something, perhaps it may not bring any serious outcome because you did not intend to do that. Sometimes you intend to do good and sometimes bad happens. So you want to do something good. So you ask your son, take this course. That will fail because there is no good. Sometimes we do with good intention, but then the outcome may not be right. That's okay. That's not a bad action. As long as the intention is good, that's what counts. Yes.
Swamiji, like a couple years ago, I tried and then I hit the deer. I killed the deer.
That's it.
But I'm not.
Hell is ready for you. That deer, next time you will become deer. That deer will become a human being and they will do the same thing to you.
How depressed.
Very depressing.
But no intention.
No intention?
It's
Oh,
an accident.
yeah. Right. So, there's no intention, then you don't incur any sin because you did not intend. It's an accident. Unintentional. You're okay.
Sir, excuse me.
Ah.
Could it be possible that the deer had killed this person before?
So now a further question is, how come even as an accident you killed the deer? Is it that in the past life, some past purpose, deer had killed you? And so now you are paying, he's paying back. Possible. We don't know. Possible. But dwelling too much on this also becomes an obsession. So, just karma and karma phala, don't dwell too much on that. How can a person who is working or a householder achieve distraction of their mind? Don't they need their mind for working? So, this term, distraction of mind, is a technical term. We explained that distraction of mind does not mean distraction of mind as a faculty, only distraction of the ignorant part of the mind. So that aspect of the mind, which was an impediment to your self-abiding, to your abiding in happiness, that part has to be removed or destroyed, you may say. What is that part? Those impulses, such as anger, greed, etc. So they are depriving us of the abidance in the self and thus depriving us of the benefit of the ananda or happiness which is of nature. So only destruction of that. In fact, by destroying these negative impulses, mind becomes much more effective. So a householder also should do constantly. Anybody, why householder? Any individual should be constantly striving to make the mind free from the impulses of attachment, aversion, anger, greed, etc. so that mind becomes more alert, more conscious, you become more mindful. So what prevents us from being mindful are all these impulses. Because I want to be mindful and my attachment takes the mind away. So these attachment, aversion, these are the distracting elements which deprive me of the attention, the focus of the mind. So to be effective person, we should be as mindful as we can. For being mindful, the mind should enjoy that focus, freedom from distraction. And those distracting forces are to be removed. So distraction of mind is destruction of these negative tendencies of the mind. That should become clear. Not destruction, that's the technical term. Not destruction of mind as a faculty, that is, becomes mindless. Nobody wants that kind of moksha. Who wants a moksha where you become mindless? Then you can't live your life. To live your life you need mind. You can't say a wise person has no mind and he lives his life. So, he has very much the mind as a faculty. But a mind which is free from all these destructive aspects, that's all. Please unfold the concept of Shruti, how Shruti was received. So what Shruti is derived from the root Shru, means to hear. You want to close that door? Did not do anything.
It's from within her.
Huh?
The light on, Swamiji?
No. This the sun is falling on her since for a long time. I thought she's enjoying it, you know. But now I see her doing this, so I mean she So that did not help at all. Okay. Then we can open it if you want. Yeah. No, that's okay. Now Kumar doesn't matter. Now open the door. There's nobody now there. So let some fresh air come in. So Shruti word is derived from root Shru, means to hear. To that this tin pratyay is applied. So Shruti, hearing. So Vedas are called Shruti because traditionally Vedas always are heard from the teacher by the student. It was an oral tradition where the students heard the text from the teacher and grasped it, memorized it, passed on to their students, and thus it was a oral tradition. You can also say that even the sages also heard. So what is the source of this knowledge that we call Veda? Or the Shruti, Ishvara again is the source of knowledge. Who is Ishvara? Brahman with Maya, omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent, all-knowing. That Ishvara is the source of all knowledge, he is of the nature of knowledge. So all knowledge is always revealed by Ishvara. Meaning that in our day-to-day life also, whenever we have an insight, I got it. So what is it? That Pythagoras or what? Huh? Eureka. Archimedes. So there was a flash of knowledge. All that knowledge is revealed by Ishvara. That's what we say. So in any mind, any time, any knowledge that takes place is revealed by Ishvara. Because Ishvara is of the nature of knowledge and who is beginningless. And he alone reveals in mind. When the mind is ready, how come everybody does not receive every knowledge? A given person receives a given kind of knowledge or insight depending upon the state of the mind of that person. So for Eureka, when he was ready, the Eureka happened, whatever, So Newton was ready, or he prepared his mind. He saw an apple falling. He deliberated upon that for a number of years, and then the flash came. This is gravity. Meaning that when the mind becomes ready for a given kind of knowledge, knowledge takes place. So we say that knowledge is revealed by God, by Ishvara. The reason why every knowledge does not take place in every mind is not prepared. So we have to prepare the mind, which requires a lot of deliberation, a lot of contemplation. It's a problem of mathematics, problem of physics, anything, We dwell upon it for a long time and then you see. So you perform tapas or penance, and then the penance and concentration and focus, when the mind is ready, that flash of knowledge takes place. So also the sages, because of their penance, focus of their mind, purity of the mind, they were able to tune up. You can say that mind tunes up that knowledge. Knowledge is always there. Knowledge always is of what is. Knowledge is not created because law of gravity is. He didn't create it, it's there. He sees what is, So knowledge is always there. They say Vedic Veda also are always there, never created. Except that when a sage, with his penance and his concentration and his devotion, tunes up to a particular knowledge, that knowledge takes place. Therefore, Vedas are looked upon as a collection of revelations which the rishis or sages received, and we say that the original source of all the knowledge is Ishvara, and these rishis become just the instruments or media in whom this knowledge is revealed. So that's the concept of Shruti, of the Veda. Everybody believes that. All the traditions believe that their scripture was a revealed scripture. Whether it's Bible or Quran or whatever, all traditional people believe that it was revealed by Ishvara. Because then alone it becomes valid knowledge. If it's created by human mind, then it's going to be limited by the human limitations. Ishvara, being omniscient, is not limited. Whatever Ishvara reveals alone will be free from any defect. Because then that knowledge will be reliable or trustworthy, authentic. All believers believe that their scripture was revealed. It's revealed knowledge. So it is authentic, trustworthy. It's called pramanam, the valid means of knowledge. So people in India believe that Vedas are revealed knowledge. Elsewhere they believe Quran is revealed knowledge. Bible is revealed knowledge. So all of them can be called Shruti if you want to, by that definition. It is revealed in the mind of the sages. If the mind is destroyed, are the emotions destroyed as well? Even though we clarified in so many words what is meant by destruction of mind in the class also, but somehow, when that word destruction comes, I think our mind gets fixated on that, So, the mind does not get destroyed as a faculty. Only unwanted part of the mind gets removed, that's all, neutralized. So emotions don't get destroyed. But all these emotions such as jealousy and anger, they get destroyed. But the genuine emotions such as kindness or compassion or love, they very much remain. Only the distorted emotions, they get removed, destroyed. How important is the memorization of texts like Bhagavad Gita? As in, will it be advantageous? Well, memorizing of text depends upon you. If you like to memorize things, it is a good idea. More is in your mind, better it is. The knowledge should be here, not in the book. So one Sanskrit Subhashita, the saying says, Pustakasthatuya vidya parahastakadam dhanam karyakale samavritte nasa vidya natad dhanam. If the knowledge is only in the books and your money is with somebody else, when you really require it, that knowledge doesn't come to help, not that money comes to help. Therefore, knowledge must be in your mind and money in your pocket. In that sense, memorization is very helpful. But then you can't hope to memorize the whole Bhagavad Gita, that's overwhelming. So don't take up an overwhelming project for memorization because it will be frustrating. Every day I read Bhagavad Gita, 700 verses. You can read for the whole lifetime, you won't remember it. So if you want to memorize something, take bite-sized doses, bite-size. One verse a day or a few days. Keep repeating, repeating, repeating. One Mahatma said that when they were young, to memorize these verses, you know what they would do? Take this mala. It has 108 beads. So repeat that verse, whole mala, 108 times. Gets memorized. Take second verse next day. So thus take bite size, whatever you can chew. For somebody it can be 10 verses also, somebody 5 verses, somebody 1 verse, somebody half verse, a quarter verse, doesn't matter. So take the bite size, that size that you can bite. And don't memorize everything and anything, So when you go through a text, something that you find is inspiring, is important. Take that and try to memorize that. When you memorize Sanskrit text, also try to understand the meaning. So that when you may remember that verse in your mind, the meaning also comes to you. So even if you don't have a lot of memorization, even few selected things memorized also will be very helpful. When you have spare time, you bring back that verse in your mind and then contemplate, think about it. It is verse of prayer, it becomes prayer. Verse of contemplation becomes contemplation. So, memorization is good, but it will all depend upon the individual, whether you like to memorize, how much you are able to memorize, etc. That every person can take the bite size and proceed with that. But it's a good idea to memorize, definitely. Not the whole of Bhagavad Gita. Take one chapter, a short chapter, say 15 chapter, 12 chapter, 20 verses. Then take one verse at a time. In 1 month or 2 months you can memorize one chapter. Another 2-3 months, another chapter. And when you are memorizing new verses, remember to repeat the old verses. So old verses repeated once, the new verse repeated 10 times. But if you don't memorize old, again recall all, but they will be all gone. Because we think it's memorized, it slowly slips off. And that way it's important, necessary to keep on repeating every day. So what is important? Try to memorize this way. Then you'll be encouraged, I can remember. It's nice when I have to think about it. So you'll be more enthused and you'll memorize further. For self-realization as soon as possible. ASAP. What and how to accomplish with best way in shortest time. This is the time of instant thing, everything, instant coffee, instant tea, instant everything. So instant moksha. Best way, shortest time, samadhi. How to accomplish that? Bhakti, karma, action, tantra, jnana. The shortest time, how to accomplish all this? There are no shortcuts. Never, we should not even seek any shortcut or try to get anything in a short time. Everything has to take its own time. And then only it is delicious, otherwise not delicious. A fruit should take its own time to ripen. If you ripen it artificially, it looks nice outwardly. It tastes miserable. So, nothing should be done hurriedly. But hasten slowly. Hasten means what? Don't be complacent. When you say do it, so people will go, no, don't be complacent. At the same time, slowly, meaning that take your own time, do it thoroughly, do it properly. Meaning that I have no answer to this question, how to as soon as possible. So scriptures tell us how to do that, and we have to follow those methods.
This question, that people wrote it, follow the footsteps of Gautam Buddha. Follow the footsteps of Gautam Buddha to achieve this, to answer this question.
Gautam Buddha. Gautam Buddha is said to have undergone 84 past incarnations called Bodhisattva. Don't think Gautam Buddha accomplished what he did only in one lifespan. No. Or Ramana Maharshi just got it in 1 second. Doesn't work that way. It's a culmination of a long-term effort. So in which the teacher Ramana Maharshi went to, he must have gone to teach us in the past. All culmination. So even if it looks like very quick in some case, it's not quick. It is a result of what has been done a long time in the past. So there is a story to illustrate this. Once upon a time among the sages, there was this question. How come? See, there was one devotee of Lord. His name was Dhruva. Just a 5-year-old boy. He goes to forest and performs severe penance. And in 6 months, Lord appears before him. In 6 months. Look at this God. Lord. He appeared before Dhruva in 6 months. And we have been meditating and doing this for years and years and years. And he seems to be unfair. It's not right. So Dhruva got it quickly. So thus when they were talking among themselves, this was happening at a seashore location. So they found one boatman approaching them. That boatman invited all of them to come and ride his boat. So all the sages were discussing that seated in the boat. Boatman took him a little far away to an island in the ocean and shows, hey, do you see a big heap on that island? He says, yes, we see. Second island, third island, several islands were shown. So many heaps were there. You know what are those heaps? They are the heaps of bones of Dhruva of his past life. So it looks like in this lifetime he achieved only in 6 months. It's a culmination of effort carried out over many, many lifetimes. Lord Krishna says, Aneka janma samsiddha tato yati param gatim. Being perfecting himself over many, many lifespans. Ultimately, he achieves his goal. So this is not the work of one lifetime. It is work of a number of lifetimes. Not that we have not gone through a number of lives. We would have, I'm sure. So it doesn't mean that you require many more lifetimes. That's not the point. Quite possible that this lifetime is enough for you. But it is a work of many lifetimes. And so this journey has been started quite a long time in the past. And we are on that journey. How to challenge your inner critic? How to challenge your inner critic? By telling the critic graceful acceptance. Oh critic, it's our own mind. The inner critic is our own mind, which is a habit of constantly criticizing its own self. I have a habit of criticizing myself, putting myself down all the time. So I become my best enemy. So to slowly turn into my best friend by accepting myself gracefully. What is the critic? The one who does not accept what is. I do not accept myself as I am. Therefore, graceful acceptance of the self. Oh mind, don't criticize your limited memory, accept it. Limited capacity, accept it. Limited devotion, accept it. Limited grasping power, accept it. We are critic of our own limitations because we want to see ourselves as limitless, which is impossible. Therefore, graceful acceptance of the limitations about ourselves. That does not mean complacence, but graceful acceptance and also a resolve to do what is required to be done. When the body falls, what goes with the udana? The manomaya kosha within the pranamaya kosha or without the pranamaya kosha to take the next body. See, as Lord Krishna says, Shariram yadavapnoti yachapyutkaramatishvarah gruhitvaitani sanyati vayurgandhani vasayat. Lord Krishna says that when the Jivatma or the soul departs from this body, he takes within himself the entire subtle body. What is subtle body? The mind, intellect, sense organs of perception, organs of action, 5 pranas. So Tattva-boda describes the subtle body as made up of 17 parts. 5 organs of perception, 5 organs of action, 5 pranas, the mind and the intellect. All of these, all koshas, all of these things go from this embodiment to the other embodiment, including all the impressions stored in them. Everything goes. Finally, okay.
I have a question. I'm sorry, you just answered this question about when the body drops. Are you talking of death or moksha?
Death.
When the subtle body goes, then
Death means subtle body leaving one gross body and going to other gross body.
yes.
Now, next question, last question. Ramana Maharshi says, the best devotion is abidance in oneself. Ramana Maharshi says, The best devotion is abidance in oneself. Question: what is the authority to say this? What is the authority of Brahma Maharaji to say what devotion is? What authority he has? Devotional traditions like the Gaudiya Vaishnavism say that Bhakti Uttama, the best devotion is service to Krishna in duality. They reject Sayujya because then loving service is not possible. What is the proof that ultimate is the qualityless Brahman and not personal God with infinite qualities which are no different from him? Okay, good question. I think we'll reserve this question for tomorrow. Today we have completed our time, so we'll try to take up this question tomorrow. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.